Hello and welcome to episode number 5 of NorthStar Nuggets, which is our once monthly dose of future work-oriented wisdom targeted at self-led professional development. This is something that we started at NorthStar Solutions and Services back in April, and every month we pick a different topic and share some of our wisdom that we've collected over the years, just not my personal wisdom, but also from within our community of clients and partners. So today the topic is curiosity and collaboration. Yeah. So I'd love for your questions and comments to come through. So I'll keep an eye on the chat as well. And for those of you who have not met me before, my name is Meenakshi Iyer. I serve as a personal agility, self-leadership, and inclusive leadership coach. And I'm the founder and principal of NorthStar Solutions and Services, which is a boutique future of work-oriented coaching, training, and consulting practice, serving clients globally because we are set up as a virtual business. I wanted to, one of the things that has been popping up, if you have looked at the future jobs report that comes out from the World Economic Forum, and even in a lot of the research that McKinsey has been putting out recently, the top skills around future of work and being successful in this ever-evolving world of work. Some of the top skills are around building and developing your curiosity quotient, and also collaborative ways of working. And so that's why I wanted to talk about my perspective on how curiosity and collaboration are interlinked. So I want to really start off with a personal story here. So before I did my first YouTube live, what do you think I did to figure out how to get started with all of it? What were my first words in that process? No surprises. Hey, Google. Yeah. So that's right. So Google, seems to know everything about everything and everyone. Yeah. But the key is really in asking the right questions, right? So it's a search engine, and your search results are going to be as good or not as your questions are, right? So having that curiosity and knowing what questions to ask, that's a very, very important skill to have. And the good news is that it's a skill that one can learn and develop. So that's a good news. The concept of curiosity quotient as a term, so that was first coined by award-winning author and journalist Thomas Friedman. And he very famously coined this illustrative formula, CQ plus PQ is greater than IQ, where CQ is curiosity quotient, PQ is passion quotient, and IQ is intelligence quotient. And the argument that he's making through this formula is that a combination of curiosity and passion is much greater than just your natural intelligence or how smart you are. And isn't that true? I mean, we're seeing more and more of that. And given how much of the world of work, how quickly it's changing, and how much there is that we don't know, one thing that's becoming normalized as a leadership behavior is we no longer expect leaders to have all of the information. In fact, we don't want leaders who are know-it-all, right? We want leaders that are open about what they know and what they don't know, that are curious to find out more about things that they don't know, and that are courageous and courageous enough to admit their vulnerability and admit when they don't know something. So a curiosity quotient is really up there as a leadership behavior and skill. And like I said earlier, the good news is that it is something that it is within reach for each of us as something because it's something that we can develop. We can learn how to ask better questions. We can learn how to ask impactful questions. So that's the good news part of it. Yeah. So why am I making this connection with collaboration? Is that come to think of it. So when was the last time that you were responsible for a deliverable as an individual contributor with no dependence at all on other colleagues? Right? Think about it. When was the last time you did not have to work as a team to complete a task or a project? Right? Now, in my more than 2 decades of professional experience, teamwork has played a significant role in my individual success as well. And I don't remember the last time I did something just on my own. Even in my experience now as a solopreneur, I know that my success is attributed to the network that surrounds me, right? My network of clients, the network of partners and collaborators, LinkedIn as a big network, YouTube as another platform. So there is my success is not created just by what I do. It is collective. It is collaborative, right? So how given all that, how do we create success not just for ourselves but also for the teams and that we are part of our colleagues and coworkers and our business, our organization as a whole, right? So collaboration and collaborative leadership are some of the most effective and impactful ways of creating both individual and team or organizational success. And this is where having a healthy curiosity quotient becomes absolutely imperative. So curiosity, what does curiosity look like in collaborative scenarios? Well, curiosity about your what success looks like for your colleagues and what are they striving for. That's a must-have in order to make collaboration meaningful and productive. Right. So a few years ago, I was on a technology implementation project. I was leading that, and we were in the user acceptance testing phase of the project of the implementation. And from our end, so I was representing the product company whose product we were implementing. So from our side, the teams had all, our starting point was the fact that the product in the UAT environment, the user acceptance testing environment, was working without any bugs and it was working as expected. However, for our client, the starting point was whether their single sign-on process at their end was working or not. So for them, if single sign-on did not work, they didn't care whether the product worked fine or not, right? So that big gap in terms of what success looks like for our internal teams vis-a-vis for the clients, that made a big difference. So the moment that realization dawned on everyone, we had to quickly ensure that we had to regroup and focus our attention on making sure that the single sign-on process was working as expected, because otherwise none of it mattered. Yeah. So unless you have that curiosity to take the time to understand what success looks like for the rest of the stakeholders in that given scenario, project, whatever it may be, you really can't call it a success at the end of it, right? Because you don't know what collective success looks like. So it goes back to having that curiosity, and there's a lot of other behaviors that are required, attributes that are required as well. Respect for the other person, a human-centered design way of thinking, and also having that sense of empathy for all the other stakeholders. So there are all of these attributes also that play a big role. But for today's conversation, the focus is really on how curiosity is tied to making collaborative work meaningful and impactful. So, the having said all this, I just want to share a few quick tips on how one can build or strengthen our curiosity quotient. So, I have like a quick 5 tips, if you will, to do that. Number one, start with your own assumptions. I was on this session on peak performance that I just attended yesterday, and my friend and fellow coach Prakash Rao, he talked about this, and it really stayed with me. And to me, that's the foundational aspect of curiosity, starting with my own assumptions about the scenario, right? And next, listing out things that you don't know about. What is it that you know nothing about, and being very honest with yourself about it. Observe around you, those around you who are in that space and who seem to be doing it right, right? And reach out and connect with them. So this is, reaching out and connecting with people who are already doing what you want to be doing, or what something that you want to learn about. This is one of the most effective applications of informational interviews. And that's what our inaugural episode of NorthStar Nuggets back in April focused on. So it was all about informational interviews 101. So I would highly recommend you to go watch that episode. Reaching out and connecting with people to understand their experience with that tool that you're trying to learn, with that technology that you're trying to learn, or it could even be a particular scenario that you're trying to navigate, right? So that's the third thing to do. The fourth thing I would say is always remembering to get diverse perspectives, right? So not just going by the word of just 2 or 3 people, but cast a wide net, get diverse perspectives on the same scenario. So for example, going back to starting off with YouTube Live, how to get that done. I observed others that have been doing it successfully for several months and years. I watched what they did. I attended some of their live sessions to learn some of the tips and tricks that they adopted during doing these live sessions. I did my own Google search around it, watched videos. So and then I spoke to some people as well. So, there were diverse channels in which I gathered that information. And the key also is to always think about and ask about the what ifs. So, for example, one of my assumptions about going live on YouTube was that I needed to have a professional standard camera and mic setup. This was an assumption. And then when I started checking around, I realized that I could, in order to set up my minimum viable product to go live on YouTube, I really didn't need any of that. All I needed was a stable internet connection and a camera-enabled laptop, and I was good to go. And that's how I've been doing it for the last 5 months. So checking my assumptions and then really asking about what things that I don't know, observing others, remembering to get diverse perspectives, and also thinking about the what ifs. So my big what if in this case is if the internet service in my area goes down, then I wouldn't be able to do this, right? So what am I going to do if I lose internet at my home, or if my laptop comes off? So these are my big what ifs. And the last thing is really controlling your blast radius, meaning do small experiments. So going back to my own example, I chose to do this YouTube Live once a month to begin with, because I want to see how it goes. And I also time boxed it to 30 minutes. And the reason for that is also keeping in mind my audience and general human attention spans, right? As adults, we are able to focus on a particular topic for no longer than 20 odd minutes. And I wanted to respect everyone's time and be very to the point in what I had to share. So 30-minute seems to be a good, happy time block, if you will. And then it worked well for me as well in terms of keeping my blast radius of doing this YouTube Live for the first time, keeping the blast radius on that very limited. And I've been able to document my own learnings with every single episode that I've done. So once again, a quick recap of the 5-step process of building and strengthening your curiosity quotient. Start with your own assumptions. Yeah. List out things that you don't know enough about. Observe those around you who are doing them well and reach out and connect with them. Use informational interviews as a way to gather that information from them. 4, remember to get diverse perspectives in order to avoid any sort of bias creeping in order to prevent groupthink. And always remember to ask about the what ifs. Think about different scenarios, right? And lastly, when you actually take that first step to do that, whatever it may be, use that tool, use that technology, whatever it may be, do take that first little step, right? So control your blast radius, and very importantly, continually document your learnings. Yeah. So if you were to, so this is my quick 5-step cheat sheet, if you will, for developing your curiosity quotient. And now, taking it further in terms of how you can build your collaborative leadership muscle, if you will, right? I would say the first thing is to remember always that everything is interconnected in whichever system you may be. So it could be your home environment, it could be your work environment, and we're seeing this now more than ever, how interconnected the entire world is, right? How a social or social unrest or a political event in one part of the country, one part of the world, how it affects the entire world in one way or another, right? So everything is interconnected. The second thing is nothing is permanent. So attaching finality to anything does not serve us well. Everything is bound to change. Again, the last year and a half, if that hasn't taught us anything else, this would be it, right? So nothing is permanent. So please do not attach any finality to any situation or scenario, which means that there is always hope for us to improve and be better. And it's all about continuous improvement through continuous learning, right? And so it ties back to one of the points I made in the curiosity quotient, that document your learnings, and that's the way you will create the opportunity not only for yourself but also folks that you're collaborating with to continuously improve. The third thing that I want to point out here is that success, remember that success is almost always derived from the collective. As much as modern day consumerism has led us to believe that we can do whatever we want by ourselves, this concept of self-made may not be as true or as pervasive as we are led to believe. So success is almost always from the collective. So when you look at your teams, when you look at the work that's done in your organization or in your teams, the collective is only as strong as the weakest link. So in order for you to call something as successful or as complete, it is not enough that just you do your part. It is absolutely imperative that the entire team that's part of it delivers together. So your success is no longer just your success. It is the team's success or the organization's success. So collaborative ways of working are the only way to go. And especially now, as teams are becoming more and more diverse, more and more global, you have one part of the work being done in North America, another part being done in South Asia. Unless both teams work together, you cannot call it a success. You can't even create success. So that's the last thing I want to say about collaboration and why it is so important, and a completely different perspective on collaboration, in that success is derived from the collective. Yeah, so those are some thoughts I had that I wanted to share about collaboration and the curiosity quotient. And I want to close off today's session by bringing up one of Albert Einstein's quotes. He very famously said that I have no special talents. I'm only passionately curious. Yeah. So stay curious, find new ways to collaborate so that you can create success, not just for yourself, but also for the teams and organizations and ecosystems that you're a part of. So with that, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And if you have questions or if you want to chat more about how to develop your curiosity quotient and or your collaborative leadership skills, I'm here to support you. I focus on supporting mid-career IT and agile professionals in developing and working through their career transformation journeys. So I'm here to support you with my human-centered coaching, training, and consulting services. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can check out our website, NorthStarAtWork.com, all lowercase, one word. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can keep abreast of all the events that we do and more of these NorthStar Nugget sessions. So until next month, stay curious, collaborate to co-create success, and stay safe. Take care. Bye for now.